everybody, Blugoblin here. Thank you for joining me for my comic book review for this week of May 2014. And go check out Dark Avenger Inc. Plus. I just posted my review of Ultimate Spider-Man number 200. And as I said on that video, that will be my final review of Ultimate Spider-Man comics for the Dark Avenger Inc. Plus channel. I will start reviewing Ultimate Spider-Man books here on my main channels from now on, once I get started on the Miles Morales series. But now, onto the books for this week. And before you ask, no, I'm not buying Futures End. I'm reading it, but I'm not buying it. As well as Original Sin, I'm not going to buy it, but I might read it and I might review it, as well as Futures End over on my Blugoblin X channel. So be aware for that. We're going to start off with Valiant. And with Valiant, we're going to start off with Quantum and Woody, number 10. Yeah. This was... it's nice to see they took it down a notch for the comedy. You know, Woody is still your stock cliche, no-care douchebag character. He's still that way. But there are moments in here where he's kind of... Well, actually there's only one moment in the book where he tries to be a little serious, and that's at the end of the issue. But the rest of it is like, Woody is the only thing in this issue that really truly sticks out because of the character that he is. You know, Quantum is your stock cliche, you know, all-American good boy character who, you know, goes by the book, you know, the law is the law kind of character, you know, and Woody's your I don't give a fuck douchebag. And Woody is what helps keep this book alive, because if both characters were like Quantum, this series would right down the shitter. And you know, I can understand where some people come from when they say that Woody's character annoys the piss out of them. I get that. I get that, because when you overkill that character development, yes, it can get annoying. I get it. But at the same time, it works because it hooks you in. It keeps you reading. You know, Quantum and Woody happen to cross paths in here unexpectedly. You know, Quantum is trying to prevent a robbery while Woody is being a part of it. We also get some reminiscence from Woody's past from when he was a teenager, and he was just as much of a dickhead back then as he is now. And it's just more of the same stuff. We don't get hardly anything from the GOAT in here. No progression of that angle of the story. But I liked how the book progressed. The artwork was good. There was some really funny moments in here, especially with Woody. And the ending was kind of da-da-da, you know, in a sense. So all in all, this issue works. Not perfect, but a solid read, and I did enjoy it. Moving on to IDW, we got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles New Animated Adventures number 11. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way. I think I've finally found something to nitpick about for this series. I'm hoping that this doesn't become a thing. But I know some of the people behind this particular series up at IDW, they have got to be diehard Michelangelo fans. Because I'm starting to see something happening here. A lot of these issues seem to focus a lot on Mikey. Look, I get it. Michelangelo's a very popular turtle. And with some fans, my girlfriend included, Michelangelo is the favorite. Everybody likes Mikey. I like Mikey, but he's not my favorite turtle. Raphael, Raph, he's my favorite turtle. But the thing is, IDW needs to stop this. Needs to stop this trend before it becomes a monster. Not every fucking story has to be about Michelangelo. Mikey is not the main character. That role is shared among him and the other three turtles. Don't get me wrong, this story was good with Michelangelo coming across a malfunctioning foot soldier robot who now sees Michelangelo as a friend, and they become a superhero duo. It's just funny as hell. Great action. The stuff with the Krang and the second miniature story was also really good, but once again, the second story involving the Krang had a lot of heavy focus on Michelangelo. 2 stories in here with a lot of focus on Mikey. Alright, we get it. Mikey's popular, but we need more stories where the main focus is on somebody other than Michelangelo. How about giving us a Leonardo story? Give us a story where Donatello's the main focus, a Raphael story. Hell, at this point, I'd go for a story where April's the main focus. Or give us a story where Master Splinter is the main focus. Shit, give us a story where Karai is the main focus. Give us variety. Give us things that are different from once in a while. Don't just hash out a story and make Michelangelo the main focus. When you overkill a gimmick, it starts getting stale. Now, thankfully, this shtick that they're doing with Mikey is not being overkilled yet, but they need to slow it down and focus on the other characters a little bit more. And I think this series can be salvaged, because if it ends up being all about Mikey all the damn time, I'm going to get tired of the series and I might end up dropping it. But all in all, a solid read. Very, very well done. Despite my little griping about Michelangelo, yeah, I'd still say go ahead and pick this up. I think it'd be well worth the read. Just really good stuff. Excuse me. Moving on to Marvel with All New X-Men number 27. I apologize in advance for the ranting on this book. I didn't feel this. Brian Michael Bendis, and to everybody else at Marvel behind this series. Mr. Bendis, let me ask you a question. Do you think Mystique is a whore? Do you honestly think Mystique is a whore? Because that's what I feel like you're trying to imply. After I read this book, I thought to myself, how many fucking kids does Mystique have? And how many different guys has she had kids with? So now, 2 members of the Brotherhood from the future, the Xavier child and Ray's, they're both Mystique's kids. Mystique's child with Charles Xavier and Mystique's child with Wolverine. Nightcrawler is Mystique's child. Rogue is Mystique's adopted child. And we got a hint from the animated series that Mystique also had a child with Sabretooth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children, 5 different, with the exception of Rogue. 4 children, 4 different fathers. What the fuck, Marvel? Do you really want to throw Mystique under the bus and make us believe that she's a whore? Do you actually want the fans on the internet to start throwing shit on social media saying that Mystique's nothing but a slut? Do you actually want that? Because I don't want that. I don't want to see Mystique as a whore. I don't want to slut shame Mystique. But there comes a time where you see a certain mutant child coming up in the storytelling. Don't just throw in a random backstory and say it's one of Mystique's kids. Mystique cannot be the only mutant mother in the fucking X-Men universe. It just shouldn't be that way. Hell, throw us a curveball. Say Emma Frost had a child. Or maybe Majik had a child. Hell, say one of the Stepford Cuckoos had a child somewhere. Now every mutant child now, let's say it's just Mystique's kid. That really bothered me. That mutant kids from the future who are all grown up and badass and everything, now they're just Mystique's kids. That is so lazy and such a motherfucking cop-out. Just make Mystique their mother. Nobody will care. I do care. Enough focus on Mystique's motherhood abilities, or how much of a good mother she is, or how much of a failure of a mother she is. I guess it's one of those nitpicks that really, really bothers me as a reader. But, with that being said, the story was not terrible. The artwork was good. I guess I'm just saying it is what it is. This was nowhere near great, but it was good enough to say I liked it. Pretty much it. Oh, Marvel seems to not be doing so well this time around. Captain Marvel #3. I apologize in advance to any Kelly Sue DeConnick fans, and to Kelly Sue DeConnick herself. I read this book and I felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing. I just felt like I read a book that featured the Guardians of the Galaxy and Carol Danvers, and that's it. I was more captivated seeing Michael Jackson grace the stage 5 years after he died than I was with this. I feel like we've come into a bit of a twist when it comes to Carol. The previous run of Captain Marvel had great writing, but shitty artwork. Now we have great artwork and shitty storytelling. Storytelling that does not emotionally grasp me. Storytelling that just makes me go, eh. Storytelling that should be much better than what I'm reading. It should make me feel something. The only time I felt something was on the very last page. That's a problem. When you read a book, the storytelling should be at least good enough for you to feel at least something while you're going through it, while you read it. If I can't feel anything until I get to the exact last page of the book, that's wrong. That's a problem. I wouldn't be me if I wasn't honest. You all know me. I've been doing this show for nearly 6 years now. What's the one thing that everybody who knows me knows the most about me? I tell it like it is, and I'm brutally honest. This book did absolutely nothing for me. Nothing at all. We're going to end Marvel with Nightcrawler #2. Bamf. Chris Claremont, thank you. Finally something great from Marvel. Like I said, Chris Claremont, to me, is X-Men. He is Mr. X-Men. I was a much bigger fan of Chris Claremont's writing than I ever was for Stan Lee's writing. When I was growing up as a kid, and I still feel like that to this, I still feel like this to this day. When it comes to writers, you've got your Bendises, you've got your Jason Aaron's, you've got your Marjorie Liu's, you've got your Joss Whedon's, for Christ's sakes. You've got all kinds of people. You've had your Matt Fractions, your Ed Brubakers when it comes to X-Men. But to me, if there is one quintessential writer to X-Men stories and X-Men characters, it is none other than Chris Claremont. Mr. X-Men. Now, was this a 5-star perfect book? No. But I did enjoy it. I loved it. It's good seeing Kurt being who he is. We're getting more backstory from his past. We're getting to learn more about the people who know him, the people who once knew him. Just really, really fantastic writing. Good artwork to match the storytelling that we get in here. Just a solid, solid read. It's not going to be anything memorable years down the road, no. But for what it was, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I felt happy reading throughout the entire book. Unlike Captain Marvel, when I read this, I felt it. I felt a connection. I enjoyed reading every line of dialogue in this book. I enjoyed going through it. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it is a great read and one I do recommend. It's not too late. We're only 2 issues in. Get on board with Nightcrawler. It's Chris Claremont, for fuck's sakes. You will enjoy this. Alright, we're moving on to DC. We're going to start DC off with Batgirl #31. Gail Simone. About to you. And you just saw my thin hair. torn apart by Ragdoll. Oh my god, I tweeted about this when I read it. Ragdoll is back. Now, come on, Gail. You know you want to. You know you want to, Gail. Throw us a bone. Give us some more Secret Six members. Throw them in there. Come on, shoehorn them in there. You know you want to, and you know we want it, so make it happen. This was fantastic. This is the correct Ragdoll. This is pure 100% correct Ragdoll. He wasn't twerked, he wasn't he wasn't tweaked, he wasn't changed, he didn't get a whole new different look, he didn't get a whole new race or none of that shit. This is the Ragdoll I remember. He's crazy, he's psychotic, he can be a killer, he's very unpredictable, he's very flexible. This is correct. This is Ragdoll done beautifully well. And only somebody like Gail Simone can write a character like Ragdoll this fucking awesome. Very, very good stuff. Batgirl's anger, her boiling points and everything are put to the test when Ragdoll messes with somebody close to her. Very, very nicely done. I'm not going to spoil a damn thing. All I'm going to say is pick up this issue. This was a fantastic read. Not perfect, but a fucking awesome read. I loved it. It was great. Thank you, Gail. I love you. This is awesome. Alright, moving on to Green Lantern Corps number 31. This is part 2 of Uprising. Whereas part 1 just left me kind of, this one, okay, things are starting to look up. John Stewart and his band of Green Lanterns find the captive Green Lanterns who had their rings taken by the Durlans. And man, was this really good. Nice action, good solid twists, great artwork, good character development, especially for John. I mean, not much more to say. Just really good writing, fantastic stuff, and finally, a certain someone who is very familiar with the Green Lanterns, and I'm sure is very familiar with the Green Lantern fan base, has finally stepped back in, and this is the first time we've seen this character, at least the first time I've seen this character in the new 52, and man does he look good, and man does he look ready to fucking fight. Fantastic stuff. I love the declaration that John realized at the end of the issue. This was a huge step up from part 1. Just a great read, solid read. I loved it. I guess the ending of this review is going to be kind of bittersweet. We're ending with a good book, but in a bad way. The Movement, number 12. The Team Triumphant? First thing I want to say is, Gail, if you're watching this, odds are you probably aren't, but if you are, I want to personally thank you from the bottom of my heart for such a great, underrated series. This is another shining example that just because a series is popular doesn't mean it's going to stick around, because all DC Comics cares about is the fucking money. They want your money. If a series doesn't sell, unless your name is Superman or Batman, if your sales aren't high, you're going nowhere. And this is another example of how sad that fact is. If you don't have an S or a bat on your chest, then popularity doesn't matter. It's all about the fucking money. This was a great ending to this series. Fantastically done. The artwork in here was actually really good. Every character in here shined like you would expect them to. Mouse finds him a new beloved to crush over. Burden cuts his first joke, and it was great. You know, Virtue tries to find happiness and tries to be a good leader. Vengeance Moth swears for the first time in her entire life, and they even point that out. It seems like the team has finally come to grips with the fact that they are heroes, and yes, they are still at odds with the cops, but they finally do have believers, and they finally do have people who will be there for them and everything. Especially a certain someone who talks with Virtue and he says, I will be there for you if you want me to be. And it was really, really well done. This is the final confrontation with the Cornea killer that they had been tracking down, and it lived up to the hype. Well, I wouldn't say it was necessarily hyped, but the build-up to this confrontation between the team and the Cornea killer, it lived up to my expectations. I expected it to get dirty. I expected it to be thrilling. I expected there to be some teases of some possible fatalities in here. And it was very well wrapped up, very well put together, and very well executed. And it's just sad to see this series go. And I also want to shout out another personal note to Gail Simone herself. I would love very dearly to see these characters appear in other titles. If maybe you can get the team, or at least some of their members, to maybe appear in an issue of Batgirl, I would appreciate that. I want to see these characters. Just because this series is over doesn't mean we have to say goodbye to this team. We would like to see them appear in other titles. Maybe gain a big enough fan base where DC might change their mind and decide to relaunch a second run for the movement. Who knows? It could happen. Stranger shit has happened in DC Comics. You know, it just is what it is. It's all about the sales. DC doesn't really truly care about popularity. Look at Secret 6. Look how popular it was. But DC didn't fucking care. They cared about the sales. The sales were not that good, so they decided to drop it once the relaunch was going to happen. But, you know, like I always say, it is what it is. A great ending to a great series, and it's sad. I'm sad to see it go. Well, that's all I got for this review, everybody. I want to thank y'all for watching. Don't forget, I'll be reviewing Future's End on my Blugoblin X channel. I'm still doing reviews for Dark Avenger Inc. Plus. I still want to review books like, you know, like Fantastic Four and some other titles maybe as well. Don't forget Dark Avenger Inc. Plus. Don't forget my bro, TheMtVernonKid. Follow me on Twitter at Blugoblin01. Follow me on Tumblr, blugoblin.tumblr.com. My girlfriend Jennifer and I, we still have Arkham Asylum Studio up. We just need to find something to review on there. We need to find something that we would have fun doing. Don't forget Mark Chloe Fast Stack Comics, Deadpoolzilla, who's doing an awesome video series of reviews for Godzilla movies. And don't forget Brandon Hex, who just wrapped up a good video library for Superior Spider-Man. Thanks for watching, everybody, and until next time, I'll see y'all later.